Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stand Alone, where we look at people that really know how to lead, and it starts with leading our own lives. I only want to connect with the best of the best. And when we're talking about the health and wellness industry, there are very few people that really get that it is the whole self that has to heal. And so today, to touch on this topic with you, I wanted to bring the one and only Nikki Sharp with us today. So she is a transformational coach, and we're going to get into this. But she's also, she used to be an international model who then turned into a health advocate, a two-time best-selling author featured in Forbes, Vogue, Huffington Post. So today, Nikki, I really want to get into some hot topics with you today. But really what we're going to do is in our conversation, I believe that we're going to start to heal people from within. And that's really what podcasting and interviews are really all about. It's about hearing conversations of like-minded people that are really just excited about digging and finding that best version of themselves and letting the world see that. So today I'm going to ask for your help in covering this, but I wanted to start off with something that you said, where you said that a lack of wellness stems from a lack of connection to something greater. I think this is very powerful. I wanted to hear if you could elaborate on this as we start to dive in layer by layer, like peeling an onion back into this whole seeking of a greater self that we're all looking for right now.
Absolutely. And I'm thrilled to be here, Sabrina. So thank you for having me on and beautiful intro. When I look at the wellness industry, the health industry, first off, there's such a disconnect between what people think it is and what it's not. And where I've really seen, I guess, the change in myself, but also working with clients, is that people come to me because they want to lose weight, which is great. If you have that goal, fantastic. But over the course of, working in this industry kind of by accident too, for the past 11 years, the lack of that something greater, connection to self, connection to others, it's what then causes us to go into sabotaging moments. So when we don't feel connected to ourselves, we don't feel connected to a community, we don't feel connected to a partner, that's what then becomes the catalyst of, treating your body poorly or not feeling that support. And so what I learned in my own journey was that the more alone I felt in my journey, the easier it was to sabotage, the easier it was to do the things that I knew I didn't want to be doing. But in that process, it really had to do with, I wasn't connected to others that I felt that I could be vulnerable with. And that's a key one. And I didn't feel like I could share with my parents or get their support. And then on top of that, I didn't feel connected to myself. And so when we look at whatever the challenges that someone's facing, it really stems back to, how connected do you feel to yourself, to your community? And one of the interesting things, the blue zones, which are all across the world, they are the healthiest places, the happiest places. They have the lowest BMI of the world. And the key factor of each of these places of the blue zones is that it's not just about the food they eat, it's that they're part of a community. They do things together. And so in the Western world, we have this very we versus I, in that, like, wellness, what do you think wellness is? Well, wellness, most people think, is when I feel good, when I'm healthy. But then the I comes in, and I leads to illness. And so I ask people, what's the difference between wellness and illness? And most people will say, right, it's health versus illness or disease. And really, it's the difference between when you feel alone versus when you feel a part of something bigger than you.
I love this. I was raised in Canada. I didn't come to the US until I was 25. And in Canada, it was so much community. And when I came to the US, I just felt the spirit of individualism and everybody kind of like vying for themselves. And I wanted to make a business where we could be a family, like, because I didn't have family here. And what you're saying is so true, and it's so powerful, because if you want to take your life to a different level, it's the combination of both. And if we can talk about this today, because I personally don't believe it's community or self. I believe it's a combination of both. And when a person is individually healed, then they can bring the best version of themselves to contribute to a society, a country, a community, rather than going in as a wounded person and trying to take as much as they can. In doing your reading about how much work you had to do on yourself, which is why I have like a lot of respect for you, because you were able to separate yourself so that you could do that hard work. If you can talk about that, where, has that helped you to be a better wife, to be a better contributor, as opposed to just being only selfish or only in a community, if you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And, one thing that I realized when I was going through the challenges and the suffering that I had, and just the very quick version of it, I had 2 eating disorders, body dysmorphia. I had chronic acne since I was 11 years old. I had insomnia for 6 years, addicted to Ambien for 5 of those years. Doctors tried to put me on antidepressant medication. I was anxiety ridden. And so through all of these things, it was a very internal self journey. And it felt like it was I was suffering. No one else was experiencing what I was going through in my mind. And so because of that, naturally, I would isolate myself. I would binge in private. I wasn't putting myself out there because I was going through, and that whole thing of I was going through this journey. And really, the more that I actually got myself out there and started meeting people, making friends, being part of a community, healing the relationship with my parents, all of that then led to me feeling better about myself. And so it was kind of this counterintuitive thing. Well, while I'm trying to, quote unquote, have the perfect body, lose weight, feel good about myself, I was engaging in behaviors that were actually making me feel worse. Because, for anyone listening, if you sit in private and you're eating things and not feeling great about yourself, you don't have a huge desire to go out and be social and be around people. And then when you don't feel good about yourself, you're more likely to project that onto other people, get in fights, have bad relationships. And so, I remember my dad at one point called me Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because he said he didn't know which version of me he was going to get. And that was a big wake up call for me to really realize, like, the very people that mattered the most to me, I was pushing away because I was in such an internal state of suffering that I didn't even know how to ask for help or be vulnerable with people. And so in doing the self-work, the self-development, whatever you want to call it, in the whatever industry, wellness, health, the more that I did that, I actually found more freedom and more peace and more joy and more light within myself. And naturally, as I started feeling better, my relationships improve. And, it's affected everything from my marriage to when I don't feel good about myself and that lack of confidence for whatever reason. Maybe it's business, maybe it's I didn't treat my body respectfully over a weekend. I'm more likely to take it out on my partner or want to project onto him or get irritated with him. And so the very nature of doing the self-work has allowed me, one, to take full ownership of my life. And this is something that I see over and over again. We give away our power so quickly, so easily, without even realizing. And one of the biggest things is that people think, oh, it's good if I'm selfless, right? If I'm selfless, I'm giving to others and I'm always there for my friends and family. But that's actually not being selfless. Being selfless is being selfish, putting you first so that you show up as your best version. And it's something that we've kind of learned the incorrect way. It's not about putting others first. You have to put yourself first. And I call it being selfish AF, because you have to learn it's okay to set boundaries. It's not only okay, it's needed to be unapologetic in who you are today. Obviously not with anger or anything like that, but it's putting boundaries up to say, like, I'm tired. I can't do this today. Because if I don't follow through and I do something that when I'm already feeling tired, I'm only going to feel worse the next day. Then I'm going to judge myself. Then I'm going to, criticize myself, get, judgmental of others, resent them, even though it was all about me. So there's so many facets to what we're talking about, that it's not just about losing the weight. It's not just about finding the partner. It's where are you taking ownership in your own life in order to then show up as the best version of you in this moment. So it doesn't matter if you're not where you want to be and you haven't gotten to your goal, whatever. It's how are you showing up today? And that's something that I think the wellness and health industries kind of missed the mark on, in that it's not about, like, yes, we should always be working towards something bigger than us, something greater, a different goal. But I see so often it's I'll be happy when I lose the weight. I'll be happy when I get into the relationship. I'll be happy when I get that job, that pay raise. And in the process of it, we lose ourselves, we lose our confidence, all in hopes that we're going to feel better when we get to that next level. So there's so many different, as I said, facets to everything that we're speaking about.
Yeah. And then ultimately you're just never happy, right? Because when it's out there and it's not coming from within, I think that's really important. I watched a really touching video on you where you just dived in and you opened up to what you struggled with when you were an international model. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because, one of my passions is just raising good future women. I have a little girl and she is just my little jewel. And when I think about an industry and how women are targeted, and it's so superficial, I love beauty. Like you, I love fashion, I love beauty, but at the same time, I have boundaries. And then also to teach that in the younger generation. In your struggles, what did you find for that connection with how women value or get their value from their body, get their value from their looks? How do we still be very proud and be very feminine and be beautiful without attributing too much value to those things that are on the surface?
Yeah. I mean, great point that you bring up. And anyone who's not felt confident in their body, or as I keep saying, isn't at their goal weight, whatever it might be, or it doesn't feel physically fit, or it doesn't feel emotionally fit, or it doesn't feel beautiful even. As I was saying, it's I'll be happy when. And so I'll be happy when I get there. But the whole point of everything, all of this, the journey that we're all on, is how to feel good now, how to feel confident now. And one of the big things that I teach people is, because I see this over and over, that women who don't feel confident in themselves, they live in, baggy sweatshirts and Lulu leggings. And I'm not saying anything bad about leggings, but they start to hide their body, this beautiful body, regardless of what it looks like. And they don't wear makeup. And so there becomes kind of this switch that sometimes we need to tap into that feminine aspect of wearing makeup or putting on a beautiful dress, even if it's not the quote unquote size that you want. I feel good right now in my body. And so it's utilizing tools. Like, I love makeup. Makeup makes me feel good. People ask me all the time, why do I use filters on Instagram? I do it because it's creative, because I like testing out things. I like the beauty aspect of it. Do I need them all the time? No. Do I still feel good without it? Of course. But I know that if I pop a little, rouge or lipstick on, I do feel better. And so it's this delicate balance between doing things that make you feel good and confident in yourself now, today, and also knowing that we can't rely on those things, on those external things to make us feel good, to give us that full confidence. Because even when you get to that goal weight, or you feel confident, or you get the relationship or the job, that's not what fulfills us. Science proves over and over again, getting the thing that we wanted. Like, how many times have you achieved something and it's like, yeah, it's short-lived. I celebrated for a day, or maybe an hour, or maybe I was happy for a few minutes, and then we get back to normal life. And so it's actually in the process of getting to where we want to go. That's where we build confidence. That's where we build the fundamentals of what a good fulfilling, nourishing life is. And so it's kind of flipping the switch on, yes, go and achieve your goals, but it's actually the steps you take every single day. And beauty might be one of those things. Makeup might be one of those things. And it's finding what works for you to make you feel even a little bit more confident than you did yesterday.
Yeah. And I think that's a great thing. That's not something to judge, but I think celebrate actually. You talk about a Siamese twin inside of you where, I think a lot of people can relate to this because we are projecting a lot onto other people. And sometimes, if we can self-reflect, if we can become self-aware and see, there are different dimensions to me. I believe that sometimes something has to die so that we can really live. And if you can talk about this, about in your journey of really reflecting, and even that time where you couldn't sleep, something was keeping you awake, and then you went to the doctor and you started taking those pills, but then you started to say, like, I'm not rested, like it's not working. And you had the courage to back off of it. But something inside of you, that Siamese twin, if you could speak about that, for a lot of people, I think we all have this inside of us, and we all know whatever we feed is going to grow. There's some things that we might have to have be quieted or die so that we can really live. If you can speak about that, that would be great.
100%. What you're speaking of in different terms is the ego death. And the ego death is all of us have an ego. We have the ego and the true self. And so the Siamese twin drawing, and I have people actually draw it out, of your true self, like you in your best stage. How are you? How do you act? What sort of words do you say to yourself? Do you exercise? What sort of foods do you eat? And people are always, my clients are always able to see that when they're in that truest version, that's where confidence lies. That's where they're kind to themselves, kind to other people. There's feminine energy, and it's different for everyone, but it's just that place where you're like, oh, I just feel great about myself and I'm kind to myself and other people. And then we all have an ego. And I mean, this is science. There is an ego. It's actually a part of the brain. And so the ego I've identified as the Siamese twin. And so the whole thing is you have to name it to tame it, meaning you put a name to that voice, that bitchy voice that is always talking shit and is always saying mean things and is trying to sabotage. And you actually identify what are the specific behaviors, the thoughts, the words that your Siamese twin is saying and doing, because the Siamese twin is actually there. The ego is there for protection. It has protected you through and through, getting you through traumas, through tough moments. And it's also the thing that drives us. Where the ego needs to die at times is when we think that we're right, and then it becomes a problem. Like if you've ever gone in a fight with a loved one and you're like, well, I'm right, you're wrong. Your ego needs to die in that moment, because if it doesn't, that's what will then start to create sabotage in the relationship, resentment, judgment, criticism, the four horsemen that happens. And all it takes is saying, you know what? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. So the ego death is hard because we don't want to kill a part of ourselves. We don't want to say that we were wrong. But when you look at it from the Siamese twin, the reason I like this drawing so much is because then we get to see, oh, that's a part of me, but that part's been actually a little too loud recently. That's the part that's been reacting when I get pissed at my husband. That's the side of me that, is sabotaging when I don't feel good. I got bad news and I go and binge. So then we're able to identify what are the patterns, behaviors, and literally start to check in and say, who's talking right now? Is that me, Nikki, the true self? Or is that my Siamese twin who's just saying a bunch of crap that isn't, nourishing me and isn't nourishing my relationships? And the moment that you can do that and start to check in with yourself, what happens is we let go of the judgment we have on ourselves, saying, oh, like I'm a bad person. No, you're not a bad person. Your Siamese twin is just ruling your life right now. And so that's what I do with clients, is help them understand the difference and how to silence the voice, make it smaller. But we don't want to kill off the ego entirely, because it is what drives us. But we do want to start to have that ego death, or that little Siamese twin death, at parts, because of the behaviors that are causing sabotage or making you not feel good in your life?
Yeah, you talk about sabotage. I think this is incredibly important. Um, a huge part of healing, and you touched on this also. I did this for myself. When we have issues, it's so easy to attribute blame, and like that's just the go-to. We can, and it's the easiest people to blame are our parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just doing that work, and just understanding that how we honor our parents is to understand that they did the best that they could, and everyone is doing the best that they can. So how do we go from just that understanding that blame will actually probably put more sabotage on ourselves? Like, if you can speak on what is really happening there when we are blaming someone, because we think it's so logical. And sometimes we find that person, we're like, you're the cause. And my brain is cause and effect. Like, if something's happening,
Yes.
I'm looking for the cause. But then we have to be very careful not to start to get into this blame game, because then our power is leaving
Yeah.
us.
Well,
So
and
if you
that's,
talk on that, that'd be great.
yes. And sorry to interrupt there. Exactly what you're saying. We give away our power. The moment we start to blame other people, we give away our power, saying, you caused this in me. You caused me. You made me feel this way, which essentially is saying that I am not the owner of my own emotions. I'm not responsible for how I feel. So if I'm not responsible, I just gave away all my power to you. I just gave you, like, if you're playing tennis, I just gave you the serve, like, the ball's in your court and you get to hit it back to me as hard as you want. And that's it. You caused me pain. So taking radical responsibility is actually where it happens. Like, there's so many people in life who have had a messed up, really, really bad childhood. And there's other people, like, I didn't personally have a horrible one. Are there things that I wish were different? Sure. Is there trauma involved in certain aspects? Sure. It doesn't matter if it's this, huge, ginormous trauma or a little trauma. And what happens is when we're 3 months old until 7, that's when the identity of self forms. That's also where the subconscious mind is forming, where we start to take in all this information, and that creates our belief systems, that creates what we think about things, how we view the world. And it's all from 3 months old until 7. So we don't even know what's happening. So your parents could be doing the absolute best that they can. But at 3 months old, you can't speak. You can't share your needs. At 7 years old, you don't know how to sit there and say, hey, mom, that really hurt my feelings that you said that. It'd be really nice if you could actually say it in this tone of voice. No, we don't say that because our brain hasn't, I guess, grown up enough. It hasn't had enough experiences. No 7-year-old talks like that, right? That's like, most adults don't even talk like
I was
that.
just going to say, there's full-blown adults that don't have the courage to speak up.
Completely. And so it's giving away your power, giving other people your power, and then it puts you in a state of victim mentality, which we're living in the world today, if everyone's just a victim to everything. And the thing with that, the easiest way to kind of explain it is, it doesn't feel good when we don't have power. It doesn't feel good. You feel like you're in a cage, because if you're not in a cage, you feel free and open. But when we're in a cage and we create it ourselves by giving away our power, we then think that everyone else is going to have the key. Everyone else is going to have the key to unlock our happiness. That's why you see so many women getting into relationships and saying, I'll be happy when I'm in a relationship. I'll be happy when I'm married. You're giving away the key to your own happiness, which also means that that person can take away that key if you're giving that away. And so when it comes to our parents and all of the trauma or suffering or challenges, or even just you got beat up by a kid, or, had a breakup when you were young, all of these things get planted in the subconscious mind. And so as we go through life, one, realizing that everyone, as you said, everyone is doing the best they can with what they know now. Most people are not trying to go out and cause sabotage and do bad things. Of course, there are some people who go do that. I'm not speaking about them. I'm speaking about someone who is looking for more peace, joy, happiness, who is on this path to healing, whatever that may look like, and in whatever area of life. And so the moment that we are able to say, okay, my parents did the best they could. I don't agree with what they did. I don't agree with my childhood. you've just taken back your power. You've just given yourself or taken the key back to your own happiness. And one of the greatest things, like when I work with clients, is if they say, oh, my husband caused me so much pain, or he pissed me off so much. It's like, well, did he or did you just have a reaction to what he did? Because it's all about taking ownership of our reactions, our own triggers, which we all have. And our triggers come from our childhood wounds, that 3 months to 7 years old. And so through this process, it is honestly taking just radical ownership of your own life, your own being, and saying the things that happened to me I can't go back and change. Like, I can sit there for the rest of my life and blame my mom if I wanted to for XYZ, but that's not going to change what happened. It doesn't change that experience actually happened. But what I can change is my meaning to it. I can change my story in what I talk about it. So everything that's happened to me, the eating disorders, and I did have a few traumas growing up, and I've changed the meaning of them, where now I look at everything that I've been through. I wouldn't change any of them. I wouldn't take them back. Given the opportunity, I wouldn't, because working through them, I love who I am today. Now, it was hard work to get here, and there's still moments where I'm going through and learning and becoming better. But the very nature of all of the quote unquote bad things that happened have led me to exactly where I am. And I really like where I am. And that's the goal. That is the goal of radical ownership. That's the goal of learning your Siamese twin, not projecting, is that you get to live your life in a state of freedom. And when you feel free, the world opens up, because now you're not in this jail cell you've created of anger and resentment and fear. And that's what most people are living in today.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's really it in a nutshell. Radical accountability is the only way you can have transformation. I see this with people that I work with. It's until you release that blame or what you're attributing the faults to, and you see your part in it, then we can start working and getting better. But until then, we're kind of stuck. You talk and share with people, just attracting and elevating your romantic relationships. And I want to talk about this today because in the Instagram world, where we see people and they're just like huggy, huggy, kissy, kissy, but that's a snapshot, that's a moment. But then I also know that there are really good and healthy relationships, and that's what we should be vying for. So in your personal journey, it wasn't until you said, like, this is not something I'm seeking, you worked on yourself. If you could touch on this for a lot of people that maybe do feel alone, do feel like, how do I find that right person for me, instead of just seeking anyone or settling, which if you can talk about that too. I think a lot of times people are just settling because, they're at that low level and they just settle for whatever is attracting to them at that time. And if we do the work, we can elevate ourselves and attract better. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, 100%. We settle when there's fear. We settle when we're fear-based, scared, because what happens is we think, right? I've been there. I thought, I'm never going to meet someone else. This is the best I'm going to get. That's just a fear-based mentality. And so when we're stuck, and I was in an on and off 6-year relationship with a man who I thought I was going to marry, and we'd break up, we'd make up, break up. Over 6 years, it was a lot of trauma, a lot of fights. And at the end of the day, deep down, I knew that that wasn't the person I wanted to be with, because I didn't like the way I felt a lot of the times when I was around him. Was he great in some aspects? Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't have stayed around that long. But when I go soul searching and deep within me, I would ask myself, why are you still here? It wasn't for money. It wasn't for security, because there wasn't that, because we broke up so many times. What I learned was that I was too scared to go out on my own for 2 reasons. One, what if I don't find anyone else? That's just fear. That's fear saying, well, you're better off being in something that you're unhappy in versus being alone and possibly being happy. And the other thing that happened was I realized that the very toxic relationship that I was in with him, it was just a mirror and a reflection of the relationship that I was in with myself. And so people who are stuck in relationships that don't feel good, there's gaslighting, narcissism, whatever you want to name, or maybe it's just an unfulfilling relationship. I challenge you to look at your relationship with yourself and ask, how is it with me? Am I gaslighting myself? Am I narcissistic? Am I lying to myself? Am I hiding parts of myself? Like I know that when I was going through my eating disorders, I hid so much of that from myself, from the world, because I couldn't bear to admit that I had this huge, quote unquote, fault in my life. And so the very thing that I'm trying to hide and not admit, well, that then mirrors and reflects on the relationships that I have, which is it's a toxic relationship that I had with myself. I talk so much crap inside my own mind. I beat myself up like there's no tomorrow. So if I'm beating myself up, well, there's no way that I'm going to be in a loving, healthy relationship with someone else. And so we stay in relationships because we're, one, in that bad relationship with ourselves, and two, because of fear. Well, what if I'm alone? Okay, but like, what if you are alone? What's the worst thing that will happen? Well, I'll never find someone. Okay, well, what then? And I have people do this exercise. Well, then I'm unlovable. Okay, well, if you're unlovable, then what? Well, I'm going to die all alone. Like, so doesn't it come back to, wouldn't you rather have a fulfilling relationship with yourself so that you know that regardless of the circumstance, you're going to be happy? Because I don't know one single person that has been in a relationship long-term and has had 100% days being good. I don't know anyone, because that's not the way the world works. Our relationships works. We go through seasons. One partner might be stressed about work. You might not like your body, so you take that out. There's going to be a disconnect at times. Maybe you have a kid. And so knowing that you feel safe and secure and happy with you means that even if your relationship gets a little tough, you still feel good. You still feel okay. You're not putting everything on that other person to make you feel good. And so when I left that relationship, I did a few more months of dating, and then I decided, that's it. I want to really focus on me. And so without knowing that I was doing this at the time, I literally started dating myself. And I did all of the things that I wish that a partner would do for me. I booked massages to come to the house. I would light candles everywhere. I made the house like super bougie lighting. I would, pour a glass of wine, have jazz music, have like 1,000 candles, beautiful music. And with all of that, my friends started calling me extra. They're like, Nikki, you're so extra. I said, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Truly, because it meant that I was taking care of me. And in the process of doing this, when I then met my now husband, it was so beautiful because I had no expectations of him. I didn't need him to make me happy. I didn't need him to take me out to restaurants. I didn't need him to buy me flowers. So then when he did, I was just full of appreciation. And a relationship that's based and that foundation is on appreciation will last a hell of a lot longer than one that's, I expect you to buy me flowers. And I have friends and clients who say, oh, I don't buy myself flowers. I just wait for my boyfriend to do that. But why not? Why would you not want to treat yourself like the greatest thing on this planet? And so learning to love yourself, it's a concept like online social media, it's thrown, over all the time. Love yourself, self-love. And it's like, but what does that actually mean? It means to get clear on your fears. It means that you're willing to face yourself vulnerably. It means that you are willing to do the things that you wish someone else would do because you know that you deserve it from you to you. And in doing all of this, when I then met my husband, we had a beautiful conversation when we realized like, hey, I think this is it. Like, I'd love to be with you long term. We ended up having a conversation where I told him, I would be really sad. I would be super sad if this doesn't end, or if this ends and doesn't go well. But I also know that it'll be part of the plan of whatever is meant to be will be. And that was because I was coming from a place of my cup was so full that because I didn't have those expectations that like this needed to work out, otherwise I wouldn't be happy. We were able to talk about our fears. We were able to discuss challenges that came up. And through that, we created the foundations of a really beautiful relationship. Now, do we have challenging moments? Of course we do. We're normal, like all humans will, but it was founded on, first and foremost, me just falling in love with me, so that if he's having a bad day, I don't let it affect me, right? That's my power. And if I'm having a bad day, I hope that it doesn't affect him too much. Like, of course we try to support, but there's a difference in supporting and letting someone else's bad day affect you because you think they should be something. You think they need to be this way, or you think they need to be supporting you in a certain way, which is just all expectations. And as soon as we have expectations of another person, that leads to disappointment and resentment. And so I always say, trade expectation for appreciation and watch your life transform.
That's good. That's really good. I love that. I was really thinking about just the extremes. One of the things that I often struggle with is just this word balance. I just don't like it a whole lot. And I feel like I've always had to be extreme to get things. But at the same time, you start to see that this duality eventually has to die and you have to become one. And that's when I really started to live at a higher level, when I started to look at oneness and unity. And it's crazy because, if when you're dealing with an eating disorder, and I think a lot of females struggle with this, it's like we are so extreme in what we eat. And when you talk about anorexia, which is one extreme, and then now today we have this other extreme, you talk about orthorexia, which is obsession with health. So, as you work with clients, how do you help people to navigate instead of being so damaging and then becoming so obsessive that now you're just in the other extreme? Do we need a healthy version of obsession to start moving towards the middle? Then do we need a coach to be like, okay, you've gone too far? What is happening there, and how do we become one with food so it's not controlling us, which I think is something. When I look at how I eat, I completely see this, where it is, I love food, and at the same time, I don't want it to control me. So just having a healthy relationship with it is very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with balance, it's an interesting one because especially women think that I'm going to be on the diet, right? And it's always the moment that I mess up. I have one bite of something that I shouldn't.
Oh
It's like,
yeah,
well,
it's on now.
it's on. I might as I messed up. I might as well do everything else. And then, clicks the mind of, okay, well, I'm going to eat all the things today and diet starts tomorrow. And so with this diet starts tomorrow or diet starts Monday mentality, and this like black or white, all or nothing, I'm either on the diet or I'm off the diet. I'm either drinking or I'm not drinking. I'm, sober or I'm like, it's just, America loves extremes. And I know you mentioned orthorexia. Not that many people actually deal with orthorexia. More people deal with binge eating, and where I've seen it from, anorexia is just, it's gone to the body positivity movement. Now, I'm not saying I don't anything about that, like love your body where it is, but to be 600 pounds and saying like, hey, everything's okay with me. Well, no, it's not. A human body does not get to that weight if there's not something actually wrong. Either you're binging or you're lying about what you're eating. So there's so many of these extremes. And like, I remember when my second book came out, it was called Meal Prep Your Way to Weight Loss in 2017. And we had chosen my publisher had chosen the title of it. And 6 months before it came out, the whole industry started changing and we could no longer talk about the words weight loss. So literally I got very little coverage for that book because no magazine, even though I've been featured all over the place and on TV shows, people didn't want to bring me on to talk about weight loss, even though it's what so many women want. So we keep swinging this pendulum. And what does it mean to find balance? Well, one, it's forgiving yourself. It's forgiving yourself for the things that you're going to do, you might do, you have done. Because the moment that we forgive ourselves and we get rid of the judgment, that's where a lot of this sabotage ends. So I'll give you an example. Back in the day, I used to starve myself and then I would be hungry, literally physically hungry, starving and my body would need food. So what did I do? I would go binge because I hadn't eaten all day. So then I binge, and because I've already messed up, right? I eat all the other things. Then my mind kicks off and goes into the spiral of suffering of, I'm judging myself. How could you? I can't believe you did this again. Goes into the guilt, goes into the shame, goes into the hatred of self. And once I'm in that place, well, it's a hell of a lot easier to then sabotage even more. So then I would pick myself up, try to start again tomorrow. And I had this epiphany one day where I realized that I was going to binge. Like, it was still going to happen, but I kind of checked in with myself. It was like, all of the times that I've been saying, I'm not going to do this, right? I'm not going to binge. I'm not going to eat the thing. How had that been working out for me? And so I ask you listening, like, when you tell yourself, I'm not going to do that thing, how does that work out for you?
Mm-hmm.
Because science shows, it's the theory of negation, that when we say we're not going to think about something, we think about it even more obsessively. So I challenged myself and I was like, that clearly hasn't been working. So what if I allowed myself to binge today? Oh, that was a concept. That was a scary concept. And it's what I ended up writing about in my second book. And I called it A Beautiful Binge, where I consciously checked in. I realized, you know what? Exercise, nope, not going to make me feel better. Don't feel like meditating. I don't want to just go for a walk. I know that I'm going to binge. And I gave myself permission. And that was a really key thing. So this is when we talk about balance. This is what I mean by it. By giving yourself permission for the very thing that you think you shouldn't be giving yourself permission to, it takes away that spiral of suffering, which then allows you to stop the sabotage. So in this moment, I decided, okay, what is it that I really, really wanted? I'm like, pizza. That's what I'm going to binge on pizza, whether I admit it or not. And if I don't admit it, I'm probably going to do the pizza, and then I'm going to buy a cake after that. And then I'm going to buy a bottle of wine and all of the things that happen. So it's like, all right, I'm going to go get the pizza. And there was a shop that I really liked, had these beautiful big New York style slices. I got 3 of them. That's like basically a whole pizza. And I went home, I lit a candle, I poured a glass of wine, I put on my favorite movie. I reheated the pizza in the oven. I put one single, piece on a plate. I used a knife and fork, and I sat there and I still ate the pizza, but now I did it with a different intention of, I was allowing myself to do this. And something radical and magical happened, which was I didn't feel guilty the next day. And because I didn't even feel guilty that night, I didn't go off the rails for all the things. And so it's what I called a beautiful binge. And since then, I've utilized this over and over and over again, to the point where I just stopped binging, because I'm like, I don't really want the thing anymore, because I've allowed myself to have it so many times now that I can check in. So that's when I talk about balance, that's what I mean. It's not to say you can't ever have this thing, but it's taking away the judgment and the shame and the guilt about that thing, and just allowing yourself to do that. Because the other thing, it's not working, right? Telling yourself you're not going to have it, it doesn't work. And so the very nature of this helps to, instead of that, like, I'm on the diet, I'm off the diet, it finds that pendulum, that, that center ground, to the point where, at least for me now, like, I did a post a few days ago of my body back when I was seeking the perfect diet, when I was in this binge restrict cycle, when I wouldn't allow myself these things. My body looks way different than it does now. And now I allow myself to eat anything I want, with the basis of, I check in and say, do I want to feel light or heavy? Or will this meal make me feel light and energetic, or heavy and full? Sometimes I want to eat a burger and fries, and I'm like, yep, I'm probably not going to feel super light and energetic, but I've now made a conscious choice of doing so. So again, it takes away that judgment. And then there's other times where I'm like, no, I want to feel great today. So naturally, I reach for something a little bit better. And with that, over and over and over again, I'm able to then also check in and say, will this give me joy an hour from now? So if I want to binge on a pizza or cake or ice cream or whatever it is, sure, that brings me joy in the moment. It does for all of us. That's because it hits the dopamine receptors and it's spiking your dopamine. But when the dopamine starts to fade off, that's where the judgment, the shame, the guilt happens. And so checking in and just saying, will this make me feel joyful in an hour from now? If the answer is no, then could there be something else that you try? Could there be another thing in that moment to do? Or maybe you just need to allow yourself so that you're taking away those negative thought patterns that happen.
Yeah, there's like a spectrum of emotions and energy. And one of the lowest ones is humiliation. And if someone else went to humiliate you, a normal person would never be like, that's okay, I'm just going to let you do that. Meanwhile, like, we do these things to ourselves. And if we can become aware of it, then we can like raise our energy and be
Yeah.
better. Just tying everything together, because you help people a lot dealing with stress and anxiety, just all these things about living more with more vitality. I love that word. But you talk about also just recovering. I've done some amazing work with some amazing trainers in my life. And when I hired them, I thought, like, you're going to make me more tough. You're going to make me more strong. And they're like, no, you need to stretch. You need to,
Yeah.
they're like, and they would tell me all the things that they would do. And I was like, wait, this isn't what I wanted. I wanted to go more hard. And so if you could touch on this, sometimes, and it's always for the person who doesn't want to hear this. If someone wants to hear, like, I need time off, no, maybe you need to work more and put in that more time. But it's like the go-getters. We're just nonstop. We're constantly pushing. And then we're like, give me something else to do. And then sometimes all we need to do is not to do anything.
Yeah.
Just, you talk about the art of recovery. Why is that so important for our overall health, so that we are really whole and complete and not seeking to fill these voids in ourselves with like the worst possible things? If you could take that home, that would be beautiful for people to hear.
Absolutely. So the thing that we need, or the thing that you need, whoever is listening right now, the thing that will get you the results that you want is counterintuitive. It always is counterintuitive, because it's the thing that your brain is telling you, no, that's not what I need. That's not what I need. So I know in my business, to propel forward, to do more, achieve more, expand, the counterintuitive thing is I need to slow down. But my brain is saying, no, but like, I need to get more on my to-do list done. I need to, it's ever growing, and I need to go harder. As you're saying, I need to do more. No. It's counterintuitive. I need to slow down, because what happens is, especially for the high achievers, the go-getters, we're keeping ourselves in a state, the sympathetic nervous state, which is fight or flight. That's where cortisol is released. Cortisol is good. We actually need cortisol when we're going through this moments, like if an athlete is sprinting, their cortisol levels rise up. So it's not that we don't want those, but it's managing them effectively, because someone like you and I, this high performance achiever, go-getter, we tend to live in that cortisol state, that sympathetic nervous state all the time. And so when you're there, your body's never having a chance to rest. And when that happens, your sleep is not as good. Your body doesn't recover. Your cells literally cannot recover. From there, you feel fatigued, you feel tired. That's where burnout happens. And so on the opposite, there's people who are too slow, right? It's like I don't want to work out. I don't want to go to the gym today. And of course they know, but the counterintuitive thing is, you got to get your ass out the door. You have to do it. And if you don't, then you're going to be stuck in the same place. Now, for women, most of the time, because we're beating ourselves up, and, you might be having that voice, that Siamese twin, that's just like negative Nancy self-talk all the time. That is also keeping you in that sympathetic nervous state. And so for most women, we do need to calm down, bring the stress levels down. And even someone might be like, well, I'm not stressed. Like, I have a client right now who's like, I'm not stressed. I don't feel bad. I'm like, my love, you have 2 twins, newborns, and another child, and you binge every single day, and you hide it from your husband. Like, that's a lot of stuff going on in your mind and your body. And as soon as we talked about that, she started realizing how fatigued she was, and that part of her binging was because her body was so physically tired. So for her, it was getting herself to get out the door, go to the gym. She doesn't want to. She wants to take a nap instead. But for her, it was pushing herself. For me, I can go to the gym easily. So actually slowing down, doing less workouts is what I've seen the most results in my body, my mind, my sleep, because I'm now having that regeneration that my body needs to then wake up with energy so that I don't need the caffeine to go, go, go. And so when people are in that state of wondering why they're not seeing results, it is always the counterintuitive thing, just as you're saying, like at the gym, it's like, I don't want to stretch, right? But that's what you need. That's the thing that you deep down know you need, but have resistance to. So I guess another way of looking at it of counterintuitive, wherever there's resistance, that's the thing that you have to propel yourself forward in order to see change.
Yeah. And resistance is actually, if we turn into it, it actually does propel us up. So
Yes.
actually how planes take off in the air,
Yeah.
pretty amazing. Well, this was really enjoyable. I think for people that are just on the hunt, social media has its downfalls, but one of the positives of social media is the access to great people that we would have never been able to access before. And you are one of these people, Nikki. So thank you for the work that you do. And
Thank
thank you for
you.
being open and honest and genuine about all the things that you go through. Because I think that's what allows people to then kind of open up with you and then let that transformation start to happen. So if someone is interested in transforming their lives, where can they, go to find you? Where can they go to seek and learn more about you and possibly have you as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Nikki Sharp everywhere, that's my website. On Instagram, reach out. I love speaking to people. And, one thing I would say, and you mentioned this, Sabrina, is that we all need coaches. We all need therapists or a mentor, whatever you want to call the person. Like I know so many people have a resistance to the word therapy. So
Right.
fine, find a coach, find a mentor, but we all need someone to point out the places in which we can't see in ourselves or we are unwilling to see. And so that's what I get to do for a living. I work with people who have been unable to see results in their lives for whatever reason. Things have been holding them back. They want to feel more confident. And so I always invite someone, if you're feeling, hopeless or a lack of confidence in your body, in your relationship, or you're looking for that relationship. And in the process, you want to learn how to fall in love with yourself, to take back your power, someone who's in that people pleasing mentality, which is exhausting, by the way, to be in
Yes.
people pleasing. So anyone like that, I invite you to have a look at my work, my website, the Ultimate Transformation Program, which launches March 18th. I'm not sure when this will come out, but everything that I do is really to help people based on where I was and the challenges that I faced. And doctors didn't quote unquote heal me. And I see there's a pandemic of people going to doctors thinking, you're going to give me the solution. You're going to give me the pill. That's going to change my life. And it can help in a temporary moment, but that's not what's going to heal you. You heal you. And I just get to be the guide to help people fall in love with themselves and truly learn how to tackle any challenge along the way with the tools that they learn from the programs that I do. So yeah, just Nikki Sharp everywhere. And thank you so much for having me. What a delightful and beautiful conversation.
Oh, well, thank you. And I look forward to continuing a relationship with you. So thank you so much for your time today, Nikki.
Absolutely.